Do you know that what is the biggest global risk that the whole world is going to face in the next decade? To answer this question, one of the very important international organizations has recently launched a very important report, that is the Global Risk Report 2022, and this is the report which is going to answer this particular question, that what exactly is going to be the biggest global risk for the next decade. So hello everyone, a warm welcome to all of you in the today's daily current affairs session, and today we are going to discuss this important report. And my dear learners, before starting the session, if you are new to our YouTube channel, kindly subscribe it and press the bell icon to receive all the latest updates of the courses and videos offered by us. And you can also join our Telegram channel to get the access to the PDF of these sessions. To join the Telegram channel, kindly click on the link given in the description below. So now let's move on to the session. Let's get started. And my dear learners, here you can see from this very snippet a lot of questions can be answered. That is the title of the report, that is the Global Risk Report 2022, which has been recently released by the World Economic Forum. Okay, and this report is the 17th edition of this particular report, which tracks the risks all over the world in the upcoming decade. And my dear learners, I want to tell you that this report gives us the results on the basis of GRPS, that is the Global Risk Perception Survey, and on the basis of the results of this survey, various important findings have been provided by this particular report. So whenever we cover the report, we always tell you that first of all you are required to cover the releasing body, that is the World Economic Forum, and then the edition of the report is also very important. Apart from that, now let's move on to the next dimension of these reports, that is the framework. So before moving on to the framework, I would like to tell you that this global risk report tracks the global risk perceptions among the risk experts and the world leaders in the business, government and the civil society. And when we talk about these global risks, then this report divides these global risks among 5 different categories. And what exactly these categories are? These are economic, environmental, geopolitical, societal and technological. So across these 5 categories, this particular report divides all these risks which the world is going to face in the upcoming decade. So I really believe that this is very much clear to all of you. You are required to remember these 5 categories as well, that on what basis these particular risks are being categorized and divided by the Global Risk Report 2022, that is these 5 risks: economic, environmental, geopolitical, societal and technological. Okay, now when we talk about the key findings of this particular report, first of all we will be discussing the key specific findings in relation with the world, and after that we will be discussing these findings in relation with the India as well. Okay, so when we talk about the top 5 risks which have been identified by this global risk report with the help of GRPS survey, that is the Global Risk Perception Survey results, then this report states that the climate risk and the growing social divides, heightened cyber risks are the top 5 risks which the world is going to face in the next decade. Okay, and first, a very important finding that this particular report also gives us, that when we consider the top 10 risks among all the risks which the world is going to face in the next decade, then this report mentions that 5 of the top 10 global risks are all climate or the environment related. Okay, and when during this particular survey, that is the Global Risk Perception Survey, when people were asked about their outlook for the world in the upcoming decade, then my dear learners, these people have given their responses, and as a result this report mentions that only 1 in 6 people were optimistic about their outlook for the world, and only 1 in 10, that is around 10% people, believed that the global recovery is going to accelerate. So this is once again a very important point that you are required to remember here. Now when we talk about the other important findings, the report also warns that the risk of growing social cleavages. So what exactly are these social cleavages? See, social cleavages are those particular parts which divides the citizens into different groups as per their interests and as per their situations. So this report says that the risk of growing social cleavages is going to continue, and it is going to exacerbate by the pandemic. That is, the pandemic is going to elevate this social cleavages. For example, as we have seen that during the pandemic we were more dependent on the technology, on the digitization, and the digital divide among the two population, this is really dividing the whole world, okay, because all people are not having an access to these digital services, and that is creating more division between the people which are existing at the same place. So that's why this pandemic is going to elevate this particular divide. It is going to widen this particular social cleavages among our society. Now, apart from this, when we talk about the top shorter term global concerns for the world in the upcoming next decade, then this report mentions that it is societal divides, livelihood crisis, and the mental health deterioration. So these are the three top short term global concerns which the world is going to face in the upcoming decade as per the Global Risk Report 2022. And now when we talk about the global economic recovery, this report mentions that the global economic recovery is going to be uneven and potentially volatile throughout this particular next decade. So when we talk about the global economic recovery, this report cautions that it is going to be uneven and potentially volatile. And when we talk about the top 5 risks mentioned by the report, they have been mentioned here, and that is why I am marking a star here. This is really a very point that all of you are required to remember from the exam point of view. And now, as we have already discussed, that pandemic is going to widen the social cleavages. Now when we consider and when we see the other key findings of the report which are in relation with the COVID-19, that is the impact of COVID-19 in the upcoming decade, then when we talk about the top 5 risks which have really got worsened since the start of the pandemic, that is in year 2019, here you can see the list of all those risks, that is the social cohesion erosion, the livelihood crisis, climate action failure, mental health deterioration, and extreme weather. So all these are the top 5 risks which have worsened since the inception of COVID-19 pandemic in year 2019. So one more a very important part that you can use them as in the fodder in the descriptive part as well. Okay, now let us move on to the India specific findings which are being mentioned by the Global Risk Report 2022. And when we talk about the top 5 risks which are being identified by this executive opinion survey, this report states, when we talk about the top risk which the India is going to face in the upcoming next decade, then it is the fracture of the interstate relations, followed by debt crisis and the large economies, and these are those things which are really going to impact our country in the next decade. And when we talk about the risk number 3 which is going to impact our country the most, it is the widespread youth disillusionment. And now when we talk about the risk which is on the 4th position, it was the failure of technology governance. And the 5th one which we have already discussed, and this is really very alarming for our country, that is the digital inequality which is widening the gap, because some people are having all these accessibility to all these services, but where there are various people who are not having the accessibility to these services, and which is going to bring a digital division in our country, and it is really going to elevate various issues in our country. And now apart from that, this report also specially mentions about the India's targets which they have already, as we have already discussed in the yesterday session as well, that during COP26 our Honorable Prime Minister has announced that India is going to become net zero emission by year 2070. And this report says that further all the other largest emitters have also agreed to start phasing out the fossil fuels, and it has mentioned India's steps as well, that India has pledged to reach net zero emission by 2070, and it has also announced a target of 50% renewable energy by year 2030. Now there is a homework for all of you. You are going to tell me that what exactly are the 5 Amrit Tattvas which have been mentioned by PM Modi during the COP26 summit. Okay, when he announced that India is going to reach net zero emission by 2070. This was one of the Amrit Tattva, and you are going to tell me the remaining 4 Amrit Tattvas which have been mentioned by Narendra Modi ji in the COP26 summit. So that was all from the India specific findings. And now my dear learners, now let's move on to the very first practice question from our today's session. And the question is that herein you are required to analyze the statements as per the Global Risk Report 2022 and then tell me on the basis of our today's discussion that which one of the following statements are incorrect in relation with the Global Risk Report 2022. So here you can see the very first statement is talking about the releasing body which has released this particular report. The second statement says that it examines the risk across the 5 different categories, and what exactly these categories are: economic, environmental, geopolitical, societal and technological. And the third statement says that 5 of the top 10 global risks are related to pandemic. And as per our discussion, we have already discussed that when we talk about the 5 of the top 10 global risks were being related to climate and environment, and that is the reason that the third statement is incorrect. And so what exactly will be the right answer? The right answer to this question will be option C, that is only 3, which is incorrect statement. Okay, so now let's move on to the Googly question from our today's session. And the Googly question today is being based on a very important program which has been recently launched by the Niti Aayog, that is the Vernacular Innovation Program. So this particular program was being launched recently by the Niti Aayog for the entrepreneurs. And now in this particular question, see, if you have seen our session which was particularly based on this VIP platform, then it is going to be a cakewalk for all of you. And if you have not seen this, then kindly Google out this particular Vernacular Innovation Program, or you can also watch our previous session and then do tell me the right answer in the comment section below, that what exactly, which one of the following statements are correct about this Vernacular Innovation Program. Now let's move on to the homework question. And now my dear learners, in this particular part, you are just required to tell me the person, the name of the person who has been recently appointed as the next chief of International Monetary Fund, and this person is going to replace the Geeta Gopinath. Okay, so please tell me the right answer among these 5 options, that what exactly is the right option, what exactly is the right answer to this question, that the name of the person who has been recently appointed by the IMF and who is going to replace Geeta Gopinath. Okay, so that was the homework question. Do answer the question in the comment section below. And now when we talk about the star performers from our previous session, then my dear learners, the star performers are Mintu Kumar, Crypto Maniac, Yukti Gupta, Vinay Champ, Jamin Patel, Smart Gadgets and Satyam Naik. So all these people are the star performers, and I'm really glad to see your participation in the comment section below. And if you also want your name to be mentioned here in the star performer slide in the upcoming session, then do give the answer in the comment section below, and I will be giving out your names in the next session as a star performers. Now there is a very good news for all of you, that in the Pongal Utsav sale, we are providing flat 40% plus 10% off on all our courses, that is for RBI Grade B, NABARD Grade A, SEBI Grade A, ICAR AO and various other courses. And in order to avail this particular discount, you are just required to use the code PONGAL, that is PONGAL, and please make sure that you are using this code, as this code is valid only till 16th of January 2022. So my dear learners, I hope that this is very much clear to all of you, and that was all from the today's session. I really believe that today's session was useful and fruitful to all of you, and if you have any queries, you can drop us a mail at hello@edutap.co.in, and you can also call us at 814-620-7241. So thank you for joining us. Wish you all happy learning.